Tato, Kushe, and say hi everyone, welcome back to Pantten Farms. My name is Hawa. So today we're going to talk all about brooding and the things that you need to do to brood your chickens so that you have low mortality and your birds grow healthy. All right, so number one is preparation. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for your birds before they arrive. And the way you can do that is making sure that you have actually washed your building, you have disinfected your building. So, and then you need to make sure you get wood shavings, clean wood shavings into the building and put it on the floor. You will have to disinfect the wood shavings, especially if you're getting it from a carpenter, because you do not know where it's come from, you do not know where it's been, you don't know what's been happening on top of it. So you always make sure that you disinfect your wood shavings when you receive it, because you don't want to bring disease onto your farm in that way. And what we did with our building is we also put a brooder paper on top of the building, on top of the wood shavings, to stop the chickens from eating the wood shavings. Not that our wood shavings were very small. It's not very small. It was quite a big size. But just for an extra protection, we did have the brooder paper on there. Now, if you don't have brooder paper, you can use newspapers and just put it on top of the wood shavings, and this way it will help stop the birds from picking little food or little wood shavings and eating it, because as they're coming in, they don't know the difference between wood shavings and their feed. So that's why we do that. I would highly recommend you not to use sawdust in the beginning stages of your layers, because it is quite risky to them. Okay, so now once you've done that, you want to make sure that you've put your tarpaulin down and you leave it like that until the day your birds have arrived or are arriving. So on the day they're arriving, you want to make sure that you get your drinkers filled with glucose and you've got your feeders there with feed in it for the chickens ready to go. You want to also make sure that you've got your room temperature correct. So this is very important. Before your birds arrive, you want to make sure that your room has a temperature of 35 degrees. And if you're in America, it's 95 Fahrenheit. I think that's how you guys call it. So you want to make sure that the degrees is correct in the room for the birds before they arrive. Because if they come in and the room is cold, you're going to have a high mortality from that. So make sure that you've got 35 degrees in the building to make sure that the birds are warm enough when they arrive. And try to keep this temperature for 1 week at 35 degrees. Try to keep the room temperature for 1 week at 35 degrees. And then every week after that, you'd reduce it by like 3 degrees. So you're going to reduce it by 3 degrees every week after the first week of them being on the farm. Okay, now let's talk about feeding. Now you want to make sure that you're starting your birds with a good starter feed, a very high protein starter feed. So I usually go for the top of the range when it comes to the starter feed, even if it's not for the whole period of brooding, even if it's just for the startup stage. So we'd usually do starter stage for like maybe 1 week. We give them that extra booster of protein feed that's really good quality, the ultra top of the range feed. So so you want to make sure you're giving them very good quality. And this is where we're going to also talk about making sure that you're giving them the feed in a shallow bowl where they can be able to easily access the feed, because if the plate is too high, they won't be able to access it, and this will make them not eat. And if they're not eating, they're not gaining weight, and weight is very important as part of their brooding process, as part of their growth and development. The next thing you want to make sure that you're giving them clean water. Water is so important to the growth of your chickens and their health. So you want to make sure that you're actually giving them clean drinking water that is easily accessible. And like I mentioned before, with glucose, if they've just arrived on the farm and they need extra energy. All right, so when it comes to the lighting, it is also very important. I'm going to say important quite a bit. So everything is important, but the lighting is also important. So you want to make sure that you're maintaining the light consistently, and especially in the first few days, because this just encourages your bird to eat a bit more, and it encourages them to gain weight, because if they're eating overnight, they're gonna gain more weight. So like maybe the first 3 days, just leave the light to go on throughout the day for them, and then after that you can gradually reduce it, like start practicing the lighting schedule. Have a good lighting schedule where before the end of the brooding period they're at around about 16 hours a day of light. But yeah, you want to try to get them in a schedule. Otherwise, they will not get used to the schedule of you turning the light off, and it'll be quite a struggle, and you have to train them again as when they're a bit older, which you don't want to do. So try to do it at an earlier stage while they're younger. Create a good lighting schedule for them. So during this time, you want to be weighing them. So you want to weigh them maybe the first, upon their arrival, you actually want to weigh them. I forgot to say this in the beginning. You want to weigh them before when they arrive, so you know their weight. And then a week after that, you want to weigh them again, so you see whether or not they've gained weight. Because your birds need to be at a certain weight each week. You have a target weight that you have to get your birds at each week. So usually when you buy your chickens from a hatchery, they'll give you a schedule for your birds. And so you try as much as possible to follow that schedule. So that's why you do the weighing, to make sure that your birds are on schedule with their weight or are on target with their weight. This just helps you monitor your birds' growth. It helps you monitor their feed intake, and it also helps you monitor their developmental goals and growth. It's very important that when you're doing this whole process of brooding your birds, that you're actually handling them with care, and you're making sure that wherever they are is clean and dry, that the wood shaving is clean, that the litter is clean, their bedding is clean, their drinkers and feeders are clean, and they're not going over and eating and drinking from dirty water and all that. So make sure that you're actually keeping an eye on them, and you're monitoring them and everything. And monitoring their health and well-being as well. Making sure that if you see one that's looking too weak, you isolate it and try to give it as much care as possible so it gets better. And then you want to come up with a plan, a scheduled plan, a vaccine schedule. So how you come up with this is to work with a vet that is in your area, that knows the diseases that are in the area. So you go with your vet, and you guys come up with a plan that will work for your farm, that will work for your birds, and make sure that you're actually vaccinating them on time and giving them their vaccines on time, and making sure that you're providing them with the best health possible. But obviously, with all that being said, prevention is always better than cure. That's why I emphasize on biosecurity. So make sure that you actually have a really good biosecurity in place to prevent these diseases from coming into your building and causing havoc to your birds and yourself, and causing you a huge loss. So make sure you have a really good biosecurity plan, as well as a good vaccine schedule. By the end of this whole process, your birds should be looking healthy, vibrant, nice colored eyes, beautiful feathers all over their body, and they don't need that extra heat. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that thermometer. Make sure you bring it down low to the ground or to the height of the birds, so that they're actually warm and it's not just up the roof where you got your thermometer and that's where the heat is. So bring it low to their level, so you know actually that they're actually at the right temperature. And yeah, I hope that this has helped. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and share this video with others that are also brooding, so that they can be successful just as you are going to be successful following these tips. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Till next time, keep dreaming big and farming on. I love you guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye. I love you guys.